The movie opens with a man and his young son standing by the ocean, quietly fishing near the shore. Everything feels normal at first, calm, peaceful, but suddenly the boy's fishing rod gets a heavy pull. Both of them immediately think they've hooked a big fish. The tension builds as they struggle to reel it in, but when they finally pull it out, what they see completely shocks them. It's not a fish, it's the severed head of a cow. They both freeze, confused and disturbed, trying to process what they're looking at. But before they can even react properly, something massive begins moving toward them from the ocean. And then, out of nowhere, a gigantic shark leaps high into the air. But what happens next makes no sense. The shark lands, and instead of going back into the water, it starts moving on land. And right at that moment, the story cuts back. 3 days earlier. Now we see an advanced underwater research lab where several scientists and doctors are working on a classified project. Inside the lab, the head scientist explains their mission to the team. He reveals that they are conducting experiments related to cancer research, but alongside that, they are also attempting genetic modifications, aiming to create a continuous biological resource. One of the scientists raises concern, saying this could be extremely dangerous, but the head of the lab is fully confident. Every scientist here believes in their own expertise. They think they have everything under control. We are then introduced to a young boy named Weton. The scientists have gathered a lot of information about him, and he seems to play an important role in the project. The lab head instructs the boy to help attract the shark. Following instructions, the boy places a dead fish on top of a tank using a rod. Moments later, a massive shark suddenly appears and devours the fish instantly. Everyone in the lab is shaken by the speed and aggression of the creature, but just as quickly as it appeared, the shark disappears again. After some time, the lab head decides to move forward with the next phase of the experiment. However, a female scientist who works closely with him warns that they still don't have complete data from previous trials. She insists that rushing now could be risky. But he doesn't care. Without hesitation, he orders the third experiment to begin. The team prepares the equipment and sends a specialized device toward the shark. This device begins altering something inside the shark's body. At one point, the process almost fails, but somehow they manage to complete it successfully. The entire team feels relieved, even excited, but something isn't right. Strange signs begin to appear. The lab secretary, who had earlier warned against continuing, notices unusual behavior. She stands near the glass tank, observing carefully. Slowly, something begins moving toward her from inside, but just before she can fully see it, the shark disappears again. Meanwhile, the lab head decides to leave temporarily. He mentions going for a checkup and asks someone to pick up his young daughter later when they're free. At the same time, another doctor is seen talking on the phone, when suddenly, emergency alarms start blaring throughout the facility. Everyone rushes together, panicking. They discover that the shark's vital signals are dropping rapidly. The same female scientist tries to send signals toward the shark using her machine. But suddenly, the shark's heartbeat goes completely flat. They assume it's dead. But in the very next moment, the shark suddenly appears inside the tank and violently attacks one of the doctors, killing him instantly. Chaos erupts. Everyone is terrified as the lab quickly seals the tank shut. No one understands what's happening. Why is the shark suddenly attacking humans? A boy arrives at the scene, the one who had studied the shark closely. A doctor grabs him and demands answers, asking what exactly they did to the shark. But before he can explain properly, the shark smashes into the reinforced glass. Everyone had believed the glass was unbreakable, bulletproof. But in a shocking moment, the shark breaks through it. Water floods the lab instantly. Everything turns into complete chaos. People are screaming, struggling to stay afloat as the entire lab begins filling with water. No one is able to think clearly. Everything is happening too fast. After some time, the survivors manage to come out of the water, barely holding themselves together. One of them insists that no one should move recklessly because the danger is still very real. But suddenly, a girl accidentally slips and falls back into the water, and the shark attacks her, taking her out instantly. A doctor tries to distract the shark, while another person goes to grab a tranquilizer. But when they reach the storage area, it's empty. They have no backup. In desperation, someone breaks open a glass barrier, unintentionally drawing the shark's attention again. The shark rushes toward them, but at the last second, the person narrowly escapes. Another heavy-set man named Monty steps in and helps save him. They attempt to use a tranquilizer gun, but their aim keeps missing. The shark shifts its focus toward a smaller boy, preparing to attack. But just in time, someone throws an object to divert it. The shark changes direction. Now, the boy who understands the shark speaks up clearly. He tells everyone, "We need to get out of here." But escaping won't be easy. They have to swim through water that still contains the shark. Still, they have no choice. They begin swimming toward an exit door, but suddenly, one of them starts bleeding, and the scent spreads into the water. That's enough. The shark instantly regains focus and attacks him. Panic returns. Everyone is terrified. In a desperate move, one of the doctors pushes another person toward the shark to save himself. Meanwhile, the exit door refuses to open because of water pressure. They're trapped. Then someone notices a ventilation system. It's their only option. One by one, they climb through the vents and finally manage to escape. For a moment, it feels like they're safe. But that feeling doesn't last long. As soon as they step out and try to catch their breath, something feels off. The silence isn't relief, it's warning. When they check the monitoring screens, what they see leaves them completely stunned. The situation is far from over. We now focus on a man named Seion, the head of the lab. Suddenly he remembers his daughter, the same little girl he had asked someone to pick up earlier. Cut to the girl. She's outside, innocently playing on a swing, completely unaware of what's happening. Then, out of nowhere, something moves behind her. Before she can even react, the ground shakes slightly and a massive shark bursts into the area. The girl freezes in pure fear. Desperate to escape, she crawls into a nearby pipe to hide. But even that doesn't stop the shark. It smashes through the pipe. Just when it seems like there's no way out, Weton arrives at the perfect moment, pulls the girl out, and starts running with her. He rushes back to the group and urgently tells everyone to run. At first, they don't understand why he's panicking, but then they see it. The shark moving on land again. That alone is enough to terrify everyone. They all start running for their lives. But in the chaos, one man falls behind, and the shark grabs him instantly. Another man tries to pull him back, but it's too late. The shark drags him away. Seeing this, Weton quickly hides the rest of the group and decides to distract the shark himself. The shark lunges toward him, but at the last second, it crashes into a structure and falls back toward the water. Seion and Monty take this chance, pull Weton away, and they all escape together. After running for a while, they finally stop to catch their breath. But now, the tension turns into confrontation. Someone demands answers. What exactly did you do to that shark? That's when the truth starts coming out. They reveal that they experimented inside the shark, altered something within it. That's why it's behaving this way. That's why it can move on land. One man, realizing how dangerous this is, says something shocking. As long as she is with us, we're all in danger. We should leave her behind. But no one agrees, and right then, the shark attacks again. It suddenly appears and takes that same man out instantly. Everyone panics and runs again as the shark relentlessly chases them. Meanwhile, one of the doctors, wearing glasses, makes a selfish move. To save himself, he throws a small child toward the shark, but this time, something unexpected happens. The shark ignores the child and instead attacks him. It's almost like the shark is choosing its targets. Moments later, the shark turns its attention back toward the child, slowly approaching. Everyone is frozen in fear, but just then, armed men from the lab arrive. They start firing continuously at the shark, forcing it to retreat. They even try to trap it, but it's impossible. The shark easily escapes their attempts. The lab head becomes desperate. He insists that the shark must be captured alive at any cost. He asks the group for help, but they refuse. That's when he snaps. Without hesitation, he shoots one of his own team members and then points the gun at Weton, forcing them to cooperate. Everyone is furious, but they have no choice now. Under pressure, they agree. Soon after, they all get onto a boat and head back into the ocean to track the shark. As they move deeper into the sea, they discover the extent of the destruction. The shark has already taken many lives. They try to trace its location, but then they realize something terrifying. The shark is heading toward the city, and then we return to the opening scene. The shark leaps out of the water and enters the city. Now, chaos spreads everywhere. People are screaming, running, trying to escape. The shark is causing complete destruction across the area. At one point, it approaches a small girl, preparing to attack her. But just then, Seion activates a signal device. The shark suddenly changes direction, drawn toward the signal instead, leaving the girl behind. Now, back at the ocean, Monty attaches something to a dead fish and throws it into the water as bait. But before anything can happen, Seion receives footage from the city and urgently tells them to pull it back. But it's too late. The shark has already taken the bait, and now it's heading straight toward their boat. It crashes into the boat violently. The shark drags part of the structure onto land, and Weton ends up falling with it. The shark carries a section of the structure, along with Seion, into a nearby cave. When Seion regains consciousness, she realizes she's trapped inside. She tries using her control device, but it's not working properly. She attempts to send signals, but then suddenly realizes the shark is right behind her. Before things escalate further, the lab head's team arrives and starts attacking the shark. They use high-voltage electric shocks, temporarily knocking it down. The lab head walks forward, thinking he's finally in control. He approaches the shark confidently, even touches it. But at that exact moment, Weton arrives, trying to escape with Seion. The lab head stops them and finally reveals his true intention. This was never just research. He wanted to create a biological weapon, and he didn't want anyone to expose it, so he decides to eliminate them. But before he can finish, the shark regains consciousness. In a split second, it attacks and takes him out instantly. Panic erupts again as everyone tries to escape. Smoke fills the area, making it hard to see anything. Using this confusion, the shark starts taking down people one by one. Only one armed man remains, firing continuously. But the shark silently moves behind him and takes him out too. Meanwhile, they grab the control device and try to lure it. The shark starts chasing them aggressively. They attempt to force it to open its mouth, but it's too high above them. They can't get the angle. The shark charges toward them again, and right at that moment, Monty appears. He throws a dead fish into the air. As the shark opens its mouth to catch it, Weton takes the shot and fires directly inside. The impact is massive. The shark's body reacts violently. Its system starts failing, and finally, it dies. Silence returns. But then they realize Weton is missing. Seion and Monty both stop. After everything they've just survived, this hits hard. They assume the worst, that Weton didn't make it. But then, from behind them, Weton appears. Seion and Monty both turn, almost not believing what they're seeing. And then relief hits them instantly. He survived. But just when it feels like things are finally settling down, the camera slowly shifts, and we see it, a small baby shark, alive, moving. A quiet, unsettling hint that this story isn't over yet.